Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm sorry it's been a long time since I put out a video, but I've just been focusing on getting my leg back to where it was before my accident. So it's much better than it was, but it's still not perfect. So I'm looking at probably a 1 year recovery time realistically, according to my surgeon. So today's video is going to be about getting the car up in the air so it's easier to work on, because I just really can't crouch down like I used to be able to work on the car, so it needs to be up in the air. Now, putting the car up in the air is pretty straightforward, but the problem is I need to be able to move it as well every day, because when I'm finished working on the car each day, I need to push it back into the corner here and then park my normal daily driven car in the garage. So what I'm doing is making a kind of a trolley system that not only makes the car mobile, but also has the car jacked up in the air so it's easier to work on. It's worth going through my sketches here on how I'm designing this thing. Pretty crude, but I'll just use your 4 wheels, steel beams around the edge. So I just did a rough sketch, and then it quickly became apparent that I would not be able to have the car jacked up at 4 points or 2 points even in the middle and be able to slide this trolley underneath with this design. So this is the final design now, and then I've traced out what it will look like so I can see if the jack is going to be able to go underneath. So if you imagine we just got one jack under the front cross member and another one under the rear diff, and then we need to, so the car's up in the air and we need to roll this trolley underneath. So if we go in like this here, and then we put one jack stand under the front pinch weld on each side, then we can take this floor jack away, and then we can just maneuver the trolley into place and lower it down onto the trolley. So I got my local metal supply to cut all the steel to size. So that's it there on the floor. Obviously I can cut it myself, but again, it's hard for me to get down on the ground, and if you look at my chop saw, it's probably going to struggle with the 125mm section, and it just would have taken forever. So it wasn't really a lot extra money to get the metal supply to do all the cutting for me, and they've got better cold cut saws than I've got anyway. So now it's just a matter of cleaning all the cutting fluid off the steel and preparing all the edges for welding. So I've just wiped down all the steel with some wax and grease remover, and then I've just been going over all the primer, removing the primer with one of these discs, just to get most of it off, and then coming back with a flap disc to give it a more shiny metal for TIG welding. Just finished sanding, cleaning, getting them ready to weld basically. I'm going to lay it out in the design that I've created. I've just got everything laid out on the floor now, and I have to mark out some other areas where I need to remove the paint for welding. Just have to take paint off there and there, obviously, and along the top. Same over here. In here. Just finished cleaning up those extra bits there. Started doing the cuts with the chop saw, but I noticed the blade was flexing too much and the 45-degree cuts weren't really coming out very square. So ended up having to do them just with the angle grinder. So I'm just cutting these 45s with the angle grinder now. It's a lot slower, but it's accurate. That's the main thing. I've got the miters cut and these braces sitting roughly in place now. So I've got all the primer off the metal now where I need to weld it. Pretty much ready to start welding everything together. You'll also notice I've put these little holes. So those just let the hot air out as you finish the weld. Otherwise you get a build-up of hot air in the tube if it's sealed, and it basically just blows the weld out as you finish that final weld. Just about to start welding. Haven't done any welding for quite a while, but this is going to be some great practice. I just got everything tacked and the top, or the easiest welds done. Started off a bit rusty because I haven't welded in probably 8 months, but yep, by the time I got going towards the end, they were looking a bit better. Got the top and bottom done, so it's up on its side now. Just getting in, doing these corner joints here. So I got the first end of it welded up yesterday, and today I'm back on the other end, but it's really hot. 33 degrees in Sydney today, which is I think 91 or something Fahrenheit. Because I don't have a water-cooled torch, so I've been sticking my torch next to the fan on the welder in between runs, trying to get it cool so it doesn't burn my hand. But yeah, making progress. To get the casters mounted onto the trolley, I'm using a piece of flat bar, 5mm thick, and then I'm using a paper template. So I've cut a piece of paper the size of the base of the caster, and then I've used one of these transfer, so there's a transfer punch kit. These are really handy. It'll give you the dead center, so you can match it to any size hole you want and find the dead center. So I've just put that in there, it matches that perfectly, and then I've got the hole centers perfectly marked onto my paper, and then I've just gone through and I've been punching where my drill's going to go. So I'm going to drill it before I cut it, because it's a lot easier to hang on to a big bit of metal while it's in the drill than 4 small pieces. So I'll do all the holes, 16 holes, and then I'll cut them down to size, and I'll have 4 plates, base plates ready to weld on. And then it's just a matter of, I've got to go get some bolts to suit. And then that's pretty much it for mounting the wheels. I'll do it up on the bench just while I've got each half separate, and then I can do it on the bench and I don't have to get down on the floor and do the welding. I can get all these plates welded on now rather than later. Just started drilling the plate. I've done a 3mm pilot hole followed by 6mm, and now I'm about to do the 10mm, the final size. So I'm just using, it's a pretty cheap drill press from Aldi, which is just a supermarket over here. I usually spend lots of money on tools I use all the time, but tools I don't use very often I'm happy to go a little bit cheaper on, but this one does the job anyway. So that's all drilled, just got to do the cuts now and the plates are ready to go. So I've cut all the plates now. I went and got some bolts and nuts, and I'm just test fitting one of them now. So can see that the caster spins freely, and then the way I'm just going to weld the plate on so we can get to the other side, and that just fits. Like, obviously this is just an offcut, same size as the trolley, but yeah, proof of concept. I've decided to put the plates right on the corner, and one of the bolts will actually go right through. So you can see I've cleaned up the metal, or the primer, and I've rounded off all these edges too. So that's all ready to weld. Just bolted the caster into position. Gonna put a tack on that now. So that's the first one completely welded on. Got this side done too. Now I've just got to get the other one done, and then we can look at joining both halves together. So I'm just going to put some of this primer on all the bare metal now, except for these parts that I still need to weld. So just going to get some primer on everything. So just put some primer on all those welds and most of the bare metal. I'm not sure if I'm going to paint the entire thing when I'm done, so this will just stop it going rusty. So I've got everything in position now, ready to join the two halves together. I've had to put a whole lot of like packers underneath because my garage floor isn't really level at all, so it's spent actually a couple of hours just getting everything squared up and level, and I'm ready to start welding. The only thing I'm doing different, I've switched my TIG torch to the switch style instead of foot pedal, just because it's a bit of a pain in the ass trying to press a foot pedal while you're lying on the ground. Just finished welding the center part on. I've only been able to do the top and the sides for now, so that's all done. And I've just bolted the casters on, so it's actually up in the air. Alright. So I'm going to try and flip it up on its side now, so I can weld the underside, and then it's just the 4 braces that go on. Well, I had to get my wife to help me, but we managed to flip it onto its side, so that's going to make it a lot easier to get these welds on the bottom here. So having it up on its side's been really good. It's made it a lot easier. I've just been, obviously I got these bottom parts done that I couldn't reach when it was lying down, and then I've just put the diagonals on, so it's nice to weld standing up and not being down on the ground. So I've TIG welded pretty much as I can. I just quickly got the MIG and did the back in there, just because the TIG is hard to get in there. I mean, you can do it, but I'm not too worried about that, so it's definitely going to be pretty strong either way. So we just finished one side with the diagonals, put it back down on the ground with the help of my wife, spun it around and then flipped it back up, because it's just so much easier to do these welds standing up than being down on the ground. So you can see this one's just sitting there now, almost ready to weld. Once these two are done, that's pretty much it. So I've welded pretty much all of that I can get to with it on its side. It's time to bring it back down on the ground and just do the very tops of some of those diagonals. But while it's up on its side, I've just put a bit of primer on the underside because that'll be really almost impossible to get to. So yeah, all painted on the bottom, and just got to tip it over and get the top part. Well, that's it. Everything is welded, primed, and now it's time to see if I can get the car up on top. The car's up on the trolley and it's looking really good. Rear wheels centered nicely, front wheel too. I can still work on the car if I want to take the wheels off. You can see my design has got the trolley right underneath the front cross member there, so I just need to jack it up, put a few blocks of wood under there, and then I'm able to have the front still elevated with the wheels off, which is going to be really nice for doing the front suspension here once I start work on the other side there. So yeah, it's come out really good. At the start of the video I mentioned the whole purpose of the trolley was to be able to push the car back into the corner at the end of the day so I can get my daily driver back into the garage. You know, the car is at a good working height now, and it's mobile, so that's pretty much does everything I needed it to do. There's enough room in the garage for me to get the car in, and it's at a good working height. So now that this is done, I can hopefully get back to working on the car and working towards getting it finished and out on the track. So hope you all enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.